We're going to be doing the Malcolm X movie, which we should have done the other back a few, probably next week. And we'll also be reading Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. I would say that I think Malcolm X and Whitman are good to read in contrast to each other, because Whitman has a totally different attitude towards America than Malcolm X does. And, you know, maybe Whitman is a little too optimistic, but on the other side of it, I hate to say he walked the walk, I don't like that particular phraseology, but he certainly did practice what he preached. And what I've been trying to say is that I hate all these people who are totally down on this country without recognizing its virtues. It's easy to recognize the shortcomings of things. Almost everything and everyone has shortcomings, but not to acknowledge the virtues, to my mind, and to somehow think that there are other areas of the world that don't have these shortcomings is, I think, shortcoming in itself and naive, and sometimes can lead to really cataclysmic results to have such a negative view of the world. I hesitate to do the Malcolm X movie. My students like it. I don't like the movie, just like I didn't like, so you do a lot of things that you don't like. I don't personally like the movie. I think it's a poorly made movie. I think it's much too long. I think it idealizes its subject far too much. I think it doesn't show a fair picture of the warts. It makes something heroic that is maybe marginally heroic. It's clearly not a objective view of the subject matter. Plus, my worst thing, which I feel it does, is it makes, I think, subconsciously, the people it's supposed to be making feel good feel bad. That is, I think it makes Afro-Americans feel worse, which I think is a sin in itself, because there's no point putting people through more pain and suffering if you could make it more, more encouraging. That's my feeling, that in the end it makes people down on themselves rather than go up on themselves. And I don't think that's very helpful in terms of helping people live their daily life and go forward in the world, which is sometimes difficult enough. So I don't see any reason to make people feel worse than they might otherwise have felt in the name of supposedly making them feel better. Am I making any sense? What I'm trying to say is that Whitman makes you feel better, whether you like him or not. He makes you feel better, whoever you are. And there's a kind of upbeat thing to him. This movie, to my mind, is totally downbeat. And in the end, throughout the whole thing, it's downbeat. A view that is negative all the way through, which is my problem with the Michael Moore movie too, which is these people, they're really good at, bashing away at things, but they're not very good at, or ridiculing things, but they're not very good at providing solutions to anything. Not that anyone else is, but they don't even try. They just go the bashing route. And that was my problem with the Beat generation too. So you say, your problem, who cares what you think? No, nobody. I just happen to be teaching the class, so I thought maybe I would give you the spin that this particular no-spin zone wants to spin in. And my spin is that I don't like these things, even though I show them to you. So you say, well, why do you show them? Well, because students like them, and it's a fair and balanced, if you like, approach to these emotions. So I've had questions, questionnaires, surveys after these things, and students all respond fairly positively to this movie, so that's fine. So you say, well, if students all respond positively to this movie, how come you're negative? Because I think the final effect in your psyche is negative. even though you may be enjoying the titillation of the movie, that it is in the end a downward effect on your spirit and psyche. So I showed the movie for equal time, and because it is on the subject of Islam to some extent, does relate to America, and it is a picture of an Islamic situation in America, if you want to. It's not real, true Islam. It's a cult of sort of Islam. That doesn't matter, but that's why we show it. But my final feeling about the movie is I wish I didn't have to show it. Same thing for Carlos Castaneda, although I think he's less harmless because I think he's just laughable. But the others, I honestly don't, I think are not laughable. Anyway, let's go back to Whitman. So get ready for Malcolm X after in the coming week. So we're on this ferry boat, and the 12-month seagulls are floating in the air. And yet, saw the slow-wheeling circles and the gradual edging toward the south, saw the reflection of the summer sky in the water. Why does he see the reflection of the summer sky in the water if it's the 12th month? Because it's a summer, it's a summer-like day. It's really one of those balmy days you sometimes get in the middle of winter, when the winter breaks, and it's a summer-like day. Now, again, I asked you before, we're in one of these long, rolling, cascades of images. How many of you have stood on the rail of a ferry boat and squinted your eyes at the water and had these kinds of sensations? I imagine lots of you have. I mean, when you stood at the rail of a boat and watched the water and the scallop-shaped waves, the white caps, or the seagulls, or the way the light bounces off the different surf objects, you sometimes do close your eyes and you see the sun in your eyes and the water and so on. And there's not much else to do except mess around with the light in your eyes and the waves. And that's what he's doing. Now, you might describe it differently, which is fair enough. I mean, everyone would use different words, but you know and you identify. At least you can feel what he's talking about because it's not unfamiliar to you, I would imagine. Had my eyes dazzled by the shimmering track of beams. Now, you might have expressed that differently, but you've had your eyes dazzled by it in a similar way, and you might use different language. Looked at the fine centrifugal spokes of light round the shape of my head in the sunlit water. He's staring at his head in the water. He sees the light spreading out. Look at the haze on the hills southward and southwestward. Look on the vapor at the floor as it flew in fleeces tinged with violet. Look toward the lower bay to notice the vessels. Look at that. Here's his poetry again. Look, 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 look. Previously it was others, 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 others. So he is following a style here, but it's his own style, absolutely. Saw their approach. Now it's saw, saw, saw. Saw aboard those who were near me.